Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, and thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's January 7th. Today, we celebrate the wealthy Dutch banker who bought enough plants to fill a book for a young Carl Linnaeus, and a royal gardener who is an ancestor of Princess Diana. We'll learn about the man who started the first seed company in America and the German botanist buried in the botanical garden he curated during his lifetime. Today's Unearthed Words feature words for children about January, and we grow that garden library with a book by a beloved Washington, D.C. garden columnist. I'll talk about a garden item that I use all the time in my potting shed and around my garden. So many uses. And then we'll wrap things up with the New Zealand gardener who is featured in one of my all-time favorite garden photos. But first, let's catch up on a few recent events. In today's curated articles, Nancy Zerlog shared a post in the Detroit News called Gardening, Going Blue for 2020. The Pantone color of the year for 2020 is a classic blue, and Nancy gives us some ideas for how to incorporate more blue into our 2020 gardens. She wrote, "If I were to look for that color to use in the garden, my very first thought would be a delphinium. Miss Jekyll produces exquisite quarter-sized blue flowers on 15-inch plants in full-to-part sun in late spring or early summer, and they are said to reseed annually, so she's hoping that a one-time planting of seed will do the job." She also said that a favorite blue flowering shrub is the proven winner's Color Choice Blue Chiffon Rose of Sharon. In full sun, it will climb to 10 feet and be covered in lovely anemone-like blossoms for several weeks in the summer. And it's absolutely gorgeous. If you'd like to find this post in the Facebook group for the show, just search for blue and this post will pop right up. Then next up, Flower Magazine shared a great post called Paris in Bloom, and it features Georgiana Lane's new book by the same title. Georgiana's charming images of parks and gardens, shops and architectural motifs are a vision of romance and spring, the perfect gift for Valentine's Day. If you'd like to find this post in the Facebook group, just search for Paris. Now, if you'd like to check out these curated articles for yourself, you're in luck because I share all of them with the listener community in the free Facebook group, the Daily Gardener Community. So there's no need to take notes or search for links. The next time you're on Facebook, just search for Daily Gardener Community and request to join. I'd love to meet you in the group. Here's today's brevities. Today is the birthday of the wealthy Dutch banker and director of the Dutch East India Company, George Clifford III. Clifford loved gardens, and he had a passion for plants and plant collecting. His work with the Dutch East India Company made him quite wealthy, and he could afford to purchase the latest plants discovered from around the world in the early 1700s. Clifford invited a young Swedish naturalist to come and stay at his estate. Over 2 years, from 1736 to 1738, Carl Linnaeus helped Clifford with his plant inventory, and he cataloged his vast herbarium. Clifford's estate gave Linnaeus a treasure trove of botanical specimens, which became the subjects of a book, his early botanical masterpiece called Hortus Cliffordianus. The book is essentially an inventory of Clifford's plant collection. Today, Clifford's herbarium is housed at the National History Museum in London. And today is the anniversary of the death of Mary Somerset, the Duchess of Beaufort, who died on this day in 1715. Mary was an avid gardener and botanist. She survived 2 husbands and had 8 children. After Mary was widowed a second time, she focused all of her discretionary effort on gardening. The best horticultural minds of her time helped Mary with her efforts: George London, Leonard Plucknet, and William Sherrard. Her next-door neighbor was Sir Hans Sloane, and when she died, Mary, like almost every other plant lover of her era, left her herbarium and other valuable botanical items to him. This is how Hans Sloane became a one-man botanical repository. Among her many descendants are Princess Diana. The genus Beaufortia was named in her honor by Robert Brown. And it was on this day in 1784 that David Landreth started the first American commercial seed business in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. David and his family immigrated to Montreal from England in 1780. 4 years later, David relocated his family to Philadelphia, and he named the company simply David Landreth. David was one of the first nurseries to propagate seeds from the Lewis and Clark expeditions. He introduced the Mexican zinnia in 1798, the garden tomato in 1820, and the Landreth's extra early pea in 1822, as well as the Bloomsdale spinach in 1826. David's son, David Jr., took over the business after his death. David Jr. was one of the founding members of the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, which started in 1827. Today, the Landreth Seed Company is the 5th oldest corporation in the United States. Today is the birthday of the German botanist and curator of the Berlin Botanical Garden, Ignaz Urban, who was born on this day in 1848. Urban helped catalog the flora of the Caribbean and Brazil. In 1986, Urban's tombstone was moved to the botanical garden that he helped relocate during his tenure. He lies alongside other well-known botanists in Berlin. Today's unearthed words were written to delight little ears, which makes them timeless in my book. The theme, of course, is January. The first one is from Winifred Marshall Gales, an abolitionist and author. Her poem is called simply January. Little January tapped at my door today and said, "Put on your winter wraps and come outdoors to play." Little January is always full of fun until the set of sun. Little January will stay a month with me, and we will have such jolly times. Just come along and see. This next one is from Margaret Hillert, the American author, poet, and educator. It's called January Thaw. The sun came out and the snowman cried. His tears ran down on every side. His tears ran down till the spot was cleared. He cried so hard that he disappeared. The poet and literature professor from Ohio State, Leland B. Jacobs, also wrote a cute little poem about January. It goes like this. January opens the box of the year and brings out days that are bright and clear, and brings out days that are cold and gray, and shouts, "Come see what I brought today." Finally, here's In January from Maurice Sendak, the American illustrator and writer of children's books like Where the Wild Things Are. In January, it's so nice, while slipping on the sliding ice, to sip hot chicken soup with rice, sipping once, sipping twice. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Essential Earthman by Henry Clay Mitchell. Mitchell was a garden columnist for the Washington Post, and this book was the sharing of many posts that were featured in his column. As a writer, Mitchell was down to earth and funny. And as a gardener, Mitchell was down to earth and funny. And this is why, for me, his book is a personal favorite. Here's an excerpt regarding his suggested New Year's resolutions for gardeners. The days are at their shortest, and the gardener should keep it in mind that his ill humor, and as it may be, gloominess, is directly linked to this nadir of the year. All that is necessary is to hold on until spring, or a few sunny days, which will surely come in January, February, March, April, or May at the latest. Meanwhile, several activities will help the gardener keep cheerful. Whenever there are ice storms, pull the window shades down. When Christmas gift plants stop blooming, either give them conditions they require or else throw them out. There's no point making yourself miserable by watching a poinsettia, cyclamen, or azalea die over a period of 3 months. Force yourself for once to order the varieties of annuals you want from a seedsman in January so that you will not find yourself in a snit in March. Decide those old gardeners are correct who have been saying for the past few hundred years that nothing is lovelier or more cheerful in winter than common ivy, common holly, and common yew. And you might add junipers. Put a couple of logs in lily pools to absorb and deflect some of the pressure of the ice. Do not chop holes in the ice. Fish do not need air holes. If it ever gets warmish again, admire the swelling buds of elm, ash, azalea, flowering quince. Make up your mind once and for all whether you will give space to a pussy willow bush. Whichever you decide, decide, and stop being of two minds about it. Finally, thank God you do not have to stay in the garden all winter like a blasted snowdrop, which should, incidentally, be showing some signs of activity within the year's first month. Gardeners, on the other hand, will stir about April 8th. You can get a used copy of Mitchell's book and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for around $3. And here's a simple but wonderful gift for gardeners. It's a 20-piece black color heavy-duty S-hook set for plants. It's $7.99. The package includes 20 S-hooks that have been coated with PVC for durability. The hook size is about 3.5 inches, and they can hold up to 40 pounds. It seems I end up ordering this package for myself about once a year. These S-hooks get used in the potting shed, in the garage. I use them to hang bird feeders, Of course, hanging plants as well as tools. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. Today is the anniversary of the death of the New Zealand botanist Eliza Amy Hodgson, who died on this day in 1983. Hodgson specialized in liverworts. Liverworts are non-vascular plants like mosses. Without a vascular system, mosses and liverworts don't get very big. These are tiny plants, to be sure, and worts are considered one level simpler than mosses. They grow flat on the ground and have large leaf-like structures. Like mosses, worts thrive in moist areas. The word wort means little plant, herb, or root. Think of St. John's wort, pennywort, lungwort, and bladderwort. Long ago, herbalists likely thought that one of the liverworts resembled a liver, and so used it as a medicine for liver ailments. Thus, the word liverwort means a liver-like small plant. Now, the reason I chose Eliza Amy Hodgson to close the show today is that she's often shown in a photo standing in front of a flower border with green foliage and white blossoms. And the only problem with the photo is that Eliza is wearing a green hat along with a green dress that is covered in white leaves, which turns the photo into a bit of a Where's Waldo, and it makes sweet Eliza look like her head is floating above the landscape. So here's a thank you to dear Eliza, who gives us the good reminder never to have your clothes blend in too much with the garden, lest you, in an odd way, become part of the garden itself. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.